name is Sara Russo. I'm so happy to be back at CTI today. I used to work for CTI and still have some really good friends here, so I'm honored to be back and speaking with you guys. I loved my time here and believe strongly in your mission, and really only left because I found that the setting that I really belong in is inside the hospital. But super happy to be back. I'm really grateful to be here with you to share a little bit about the organization I work for, which is called Network for Hope, and introduce you to John Mock, who is here with me today to share his personal connection to donation. Also super grateful my dad is here because he has never seen me present and has always wanted to see that. So he's here with me as well. Before turning this over to John, I want to share a little bit about what organ procurement organizations, or OPOs as we commonly call them, do. Some of you may be familiar with these organizations if you've worked on transplant trials, but in case you have not, OPOs are federally designated entities that facilitate organ donation and work closely with hospitals and transplant centers to find recipients. All of you will recognize this national symbol of Donate Life, so all OPOs across the nation are affiliated with this Donate Life symbol. Network for Hope is the organization that I work for, and we are so grateful that you have chosen us as your charity of the quarter. On behalf of everyone at Network for Hope, thank you so much. We recently merged with another OPO, and we now have a much larger service area serving nearly 7 million people. So prior to that, we were pretty small. We were small but mighty OPO, serving about 2 million people, and we're now serving nearly 7 million people. We went from being the 5th smallest OPO in the nation to the 16th largest. OPOs act as the middleman between hospitals and transplant centers facilitating donation. So that is a patient in an ICU on a ventilator who is either declared brain dead by the hospital or for some kind of non-survivable injury, the family has made the incredibly hard decision to withdraw life-sustaining therapy. If that's the case, my team will get in front of that patient's legal next of kin and present the option of donation. And my team will work closely alongside hospital staff to medically manage that donor and find recipients for those gifts. And then what you see up here now are just a few facts that I'd like to share about organ donation. Really, the only people to whom this is common are people who work in the industry for either an OPO like myself or who work for a transplant center, and then ICU nurses and physicians that work closely alongside us to allocate these gifts and medically manage that donor and support our donor families. Only 1% of people who die in a hospital are able to give the gift of life through donation. Most people who die when their heart stops, and in order to be an organ donor, you have to be in an ICU on a ventilator because those organs are being perfused. Every 10 minutes, a new person is added to the transplant waitlist, and 17 people die each day because an organ did not become available in time. I would be very happy. I could go on and on actually for a very long time about what OPOs do and what our process looks like and the way we honor our donors and their families. And I think we will probably have some time at the end to answer some questions if you're curious about what that process looks like in more detail. Now, I'd like to introduce you to John Mock. John and I first met a few years ago. John visits hospitals with me during Donate Life Month, and we also do a November month of thanks, where we thank ICU staff for all they do in working alongside us in our mission of supporting organ donation and facilitating transplantation. He's a friend of mine, a Network for Hope ambassador, and a liver recipient who has a really powerful story to share. Super excited for you guys to hear that. Like I mentioned, I just really, really missed being in a hospital. I do not have a personal connection to donation. A lot of people that work for Network for Hope, formerly Life Center, do. But John has a very powerful story that you'll get to hear now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sara Russo, for your kind invitation to join you and share my transplant story with your former colleagues. TGIF, everybody, I guess. And thank you, CTI, and everyone involved for inviting us today to speak. My name is John Mock, and as you can see, I am very much alive. I am alive because of a life-saving organ transplant. Nearly 7 years ago, I received a liver from my donor hero, Cletus H. Schneiders III, better known as Cleet to those who knew him. This mug says running on spare parts. recycled parts, and it's near and dear to my heart. It was given to me by my donor's widow. I'm alive because of Cleat, and equally important, my donor family and I are able to live more fully without Cleat, but with his amazing gift of life because of what I call the remarkable circle of giving. It's about gratitude and paying it forward. Alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency, more commonly known simply as Alpha 1 or ATT, is a very rare genetic condition that may result in serious lung and or liver disease at various ages in life. Most commonly affects women between the ages of 18 and 26 who require a double lung transplant ultimately. On December 29th, 2017, it was my daughter's 26th birthday, and I woke up looking like I was 6 months pregnant. That is my oldest daughter, Amanda, who is 6 months pregnant at that time. Just like that, no pre-existing anything. In fact, just a few weeks earlier, I had had a complete annual physical, including blood workups, and apparently I was in great health. Jumping ahead to the summer of 2018, I was a near 6 weeks from dying as a result of this genetic autoimmune disease, and the only thing that was left for me was the hope of a liver transplant. While hope is not a strategy, when combined with prayer and the most excellent resources of Network for Hope and their work with hospital partners and the mission critical work of contract research organizations like CTI, therein lied a strategy to change the lives of chronically and critically ill patients. Hope was powerful medicine, and I am thankful for hope and excellent resources because my 3 oldest children are also Alpha 1s. Tens of thousands of families across this country and the world hope for organ, eye, and tissue donation. At dinner time on Tuesday, June 19th of 2018, a 41-year-old father of 3 choked on his steak dinner and suffocated. Green Township first responders brought him to Mercy West's emergency room. Unfortunately, extensive oxygen deprivation had taken its toll on Cleat, and he was placed on a ventilator and transferred to the remarkable care of an incredible nursing team. At 11:30 in the morning on Thursday, June 21st of 2018, I received word that I was listed on the UNOS transplant list with a realistic termination window of about 6 weeks, plus or minus. As you can see, I looked like hell, and I felt much worse. And 4.5 hours later, I received a call from a UC transplant nurse coordinator by the name of Anna Weber. It was her first day on the job, and I was her first phone call. And she really had no idea how it happened that less than 5 hours on the wait list, out of 160 patients on the UC liver transplant wait list, I was the only match. A mere 7 hours after being placed on the list, my youngest daughter, Becca, helped me complete the forms and paperwork while I was being prepped for surgery. Thankfully, Cleat chose to make a choice. He had decided to make a decision. I am eternally grateful that he was one of those 50% that registered as an organ donor, and when he died, we were a perfect match. Following his beautiful honor walk at Mercy West, Cleat was taken off of his ventilator late in the day of June 21st. And I received his life-saving gift early the next morning on June 22nd, his mother's 60th birthday, her birthday. and my rebirth. Her name is Gay, and she is fond of telling folks that the liver that was once inside of her and once inside of her son is now inside of me. Think about that. As a result of Cleet's gift, I was able to return to work just 6 weeks post-transplant. I now have such a blessing in my second family and all 326 members of their extended Facebook family. Because of the important and wonderful relationship that Mercy West and UC Health have with Network for Hope, over the previous 36 hours, some 100 or so individuals came together to bring Cleet and I as one. This was a direct result of so many factors, one of which was the incredible dedication to research from CROs like you here at CTI. Outcomes, that's a big word in the day-to-day of CROs, pharmaceutical companies, and global regulatory agencies such as the FDA and EMA. I'd like to leave you with something that you might not have considered into your outcomes, and that is me and thousands of other transplant survivors over the years that are living a full life because of the expertise this organization dedicates to drug and device approvals, GVHD research, first approved treatments, and much more. Without knowing it, simply by doing what you do best, you take care of someone you most likely would never, ever have met, a recipient. This is a photo of me 27 days post-transplant with my donor hero's widow, Carrie, and her 3 children, Trenton, Cletus H. Schneiders IV, better known as Cleety, and little Sammy. While bittersweet, 2 people did not have to die. This has helped both sides of the grieving process, and that is an outcome that this team must factor into its modeling moving forward. It's only fair to you and very important that you do so. Your work saves lives and comforts the lives of those donor families like Cleet's. We are living proof of that. You're all very familiar with UC Health's slogan, "In science lives hope." Well, while many great things and discoveries have occurred and will continue on that campus, here's some incredible news for my children and every other Alpha One out there. CTI's work is optimistic about the future of medicine. Just after the 4th anniversary of my life-saving transplant, the New England Journal of Medicine published the following in its June 25th, 2022 issue, and I quote, "Researchers at St. Louis University School of Medicine, in collaboration with Arrowhead Pharmaceuticals and Takeda Pharmaceuticals, report the first effective drug to treat a rare genetic liver disease that formerly could only be treated with a liver transplant." I'm going to read some of that again for emphasis. Report the first effective drug to treat a rare genetic liver disease that formerly could only be treated with a liver transplant. Thank you for continuing to be there for people of desperation in the most difficult of times. As some of you in your chosen profession might experience struggle with endurance or burnout, perhaps my story, my journey, can inspire you as an example of miracles that you make happen. Please continue being superstars and being the change in someone else's life on both sides of the organ and tissue equation. And I encourage you to reach out to me or Sara if you would like to have more information about my story or the great work that Sara and Network for Hope do every day. Thank you.